All right, today I went with a friend from work, Mike, and helped him pick up a Toyota Hilo or forklift. He has a pretty nice barn, and he used to have a Coyote DK40. He would use that to move stuff around the barn, put it up on pallet racking, take it down, etc. He just recently sold that and bought a Coyote RX 7320 with a full cab. And I told him when he bought it that he wasn't going to be able to use that in the barn like he was the 40 horse. And he thought he'd be able to just by moving some stuff around, cleaning it up. He tried one time and realized it wasn't going to work. So he picked up a Toyota Forklift at an auction. It's an older unit, but for what he needs it for, it should be perfect. I went with him to help him get it loaded up, bring it home and unload it. With the low ground clearance and the ramps on his trailer, we weren't going to be able to just drive it off the trailer, and the brakes didn't work on it. So that made it a little more interesting. You can see that video right after this. We recorded part of it. We were in a time crunch today because he had to work this afternoon, so we didn't get everything recorded, but we got the unloading portion of the video recorded, and you can watch that, how we did it with his tractor. Another thing we did when we went out to pick it up, it was by an old property that I owned. It was only an 8-acre piece, but it was something I did a lot of habitat work on, was able to harvest some nice deer, especially for Michigan, including a 23-inch wide 8-point that I called Tank. That's actually featured in another video on Whitetail Habitat Solutions with Jeff Sturgis. He does a video on small properties, setting up a small property for hunting success, and that property was featured on it. I had to sell that a few years ago when I bought my 40-acre piece up in Croswell, but the new owner I've been in contact with, and he let me go out there today and walk around and take a look at some of the work I'd done. Plus I gave him a few tips on what he can do moving forward, stuff he can address. He's got 2 new neighbors that have moved in since I owned it, and they're both hunting the property line. One of them actually cut down a 6x6 treated post that I had buried to put a stand on and some brush on the property on the 8 acres. So the neighbor didn't like it there, so he came over and cut it down. It's Pear, Michigan. People are crazy about hunting in Michigan. The guy didn't want him hunting there because he was hunting there, and so he went and cut down that post with no permission. But anyways, while I was out there, I took a few pictures of some trees I planted. I planted some speckled alders that I picked up from a Michigan Sportsman member, and I planted those a few years ago just as small little saplings, little whips, and some of them were about this big around. You can see the pictures. We didn't get video. And I planted some dappling willow, they were just cuttings, 12-inch sticks I shoved in the ground. Here's a picture of those. While we were out there, there's a wild pear tree that was on that property that has small little hard pears that the deer just love. The new owner let me take a few pieces of wood I'm going to cut some scions out of, and I have some rootstock coming. So I'm going to graft those in a later video and get them planted on my new property. I also cut a few branches off the dappling willow. These were a 12-inch stick that I stuck in the ground, and they're now pretty large trees. I'm going to cut these down into new cuttings and stick them into a wet area that I'm converting into bedding out at Croswell where I have that switchgrass. This is going to be put in with the switchgrass. So right now I'm going to start getting these scions cut down to about 10-inch pieces. I'll get the ends wrapped in damp paper towel and wrapped in saran wrap and put in the fridge until my rootstock shows up, and then we'll get those grafted up. I'm going to probably cut about 14-inch whips from the dappling willow so I can stick those in the ground when the ground thaws, and we'll get those growing into trees also. I'll document all this in future videos. You can see here is what's left of one of the tiny little pears. These are late hanging, small golf ball size rock hard pear, and like I said, the deer just devoured them when I owned that property. I actually, not realizing that was a pear tree, put a ladder stand in it the first year. And while I'd be sitting in that stand, deer would be rubbing up against it, cleaning up the pears that dropped that day. There was never pears on the ground. There were a lot of wild apple trees on that property, and there would be loads of apples on the ground that the deer didn't eat. But this particular pear tree, the deer would just absolutely hammer as soon as they drop. I think your front wheels are going to be wide enough, the back are going to be real close. You want to fire it up, get her warmed up?
Get her warmed up here. Well, experiment, I guess. Hold on, I wasn't ready for that.
not sure where he thinks he's putting it. Well, he's trying to get out of the way so he can get the tractor out of here.
Like I've done it before. Vela's hot.
There she goes, folks. Here we are unloading a Toyota forklift for Mike. He just picked this thing up at auction. Neither of us have ever driven a forklift before. He's got some pallet racking in his barn though, and he went from a 40 horse Coyote to a cab 73 horse, and he realized it was pretty hard to maneuver inside a pole barn. So he picked this gem up. Got it for a bargain basement price. No brakes. But we got it unloaded. We might be pushing her into place. That's one thing that works, the parking brake. We found out after we got it home.
Got all kinds of brakes. Get the old Coyote out. So we can have room to